Scheherazade's stories. Tonight's story is about watching and being watched.
Part 2. I didn't move for a full 10 seconds. That sounds dramatic, but it wasn't bravery or disbelief. It was my brain trying to catch up to what my body already knew. The door was closed. I had not closed it. I turned slowly and put my hand on the handle. It didn't budge. Not jammed, not stuck. Locked. The air in the small stone room felt colder than the hallway, like the house had its own weather systems. My flashlight beam drifted over the walls, searching for something that made sense. A latch, a bolt, a second door, a window? Nothing. Just stone. Old and smooth, like it had been touched 1,000 times. I looked back at the notebook. My name. My full name. Daniel Carter. My throat tightened. It was possible, I told myself, that my aunt had written it, that she'd kept a notebook here for years, and the timing was coincidence, that the door lock was old and fussy. Possible. But the handwriting wasn't just familiar, it was intimate. It looked like mine. Not exactly, but close enough that my stomach turned when I saw the shape of the letters. The way the D leaned slightly forward. The way the T in Carter crossed low, almost lazy. I swallowed hard and flipped the page again. You heard me last night. That means the house is ready. Ready. The word sat in my head like a weight. Ready for what? I whispered, but even as I said it, I knew I didn't want the answer. My flashlight flickered once, a quick blink. The beam returned, steady. I breathed out slowly, tried the handle again, then pressed my shoulder into the door. Nothing. Panic rose like heat in my chest. Okay, I said out loud, forcing calm into my voice like that would change anything. Okay, I'm not doing this. I turned back to the chair, to the notebook, and something on the floor caught my eye. A thin line of dust had been disturbed near the base of the wall. Not a footprint, a drag mark, like the chair had been moved. I stepped closer, scanning the corners. My flashlight beam found a small metal ring embedded in the stone floor near the chair. A ring, like a handle. My pulse jumped. I crouched, fingers shaking slightly, and pulled. The ring lifted with a faint screep, and a square of stone rose from the floor like a lid. A hatch. Cold air rushed up from below, smelling of earth and something older, like paper left in a damp drawer for decades. A staircase led down into darkness. I stared into it, a slow dread settling over me. The door behind me was locked. The only way out was down. I held the flashlight tighter and stepped onto the first stair. The stone was slick, as if it had absorbed moisture over years. I moved carefully, one step at a time, listening to my own breathing, the soft scrape of my shoes. The air grew colder with every step. At the bottom, the stairs opened into a narrow corridor. My flashlight beam revealed rough stone walls, close enough that my shoulders felt almost pressed by them. The corridor stretched forward, then turned. I followed it, trying not to think about how easy it would be to get lost. The corridor opened into a larger room. It looked like a basement, but not the kind meant for storage. The walls were lined with shelves, hundreds of them, filled with boxes, folders, and more notebooks than I could count. The light from my flashlight caught dust floating in the air like drifting snow. I stepped in, whispering without meaning to, "What is this?" A small table stood near the center with an old desk lamp on it. Next to the lamp sat a key. I grabbed it immediately, relief shooting through me. But as my fingers closed around the key, the lamp clicked on. Warm yellow light filled the room. My stomach dropped. That lamp had not been plugged in. I froze, key in hand, staring at the light as if it were an eye opening. Then I noticed a folder on the table. It was labeled in neat handwriting. Daniel Carter, movement log. I stared at it for several seconds, my mind refusing the obvious conclusion. Then I opened it. Inside were pages, printed, not handwritten. On each page were dates and times, followed by short lines. 9:12, left apartment. 9:29, entered cafe near river. 9:31, sat near window. 9:47, checked phone. 9:52, left early. I flipped another page. More dates, more places. Some in this city, some in other cities, some going back years. I felt sick. These weren't guesses, they were records, and the terrifying part was how accurate the details were. Not just where I went, but how long I paused before leaving, when I checked my phone, the exact moment I turned around and chose a different street. I dropped the folder like it burned. "No," I whispered. My aunt. This had to be my aunt. She had somehow hired someone, collected things, stalked me? But why? And how? My hands trembled as I grabbed the folder again, forcing myself to look deeper. At the bottom was a photo. Not a printed selfie, not something from social media, a candid shot taken from across a street. Me, in my city apartment window, standing with a mug, staring out. The timestamp in the corner read 3:18 a.m. I couldn't breathe for a second. I had never told anyone I woke up that late. I barely admitted it to myself. I flipped the page. Another photo. Me exiting a subway station. Another. Me sitting alone in a bar, shoulders angled towards the door. Each photo had a timestamp. Each photo felt like someone had been breathing close to my life for years. A cold thought slid into my mind, sharp and unavoidable. This didn't start when I moved into the house. The house had been watching me long before I arrived. I backed away from the table, heart pounding. And then I heard it. Footsteps. Above me. In the ceiling of this basement room, I could hear movement, slow and deliberate, crossing from one side of the house to the other. I froze, listening. It wasn't the random creak of old wood. It was weight shifting, steps, then a pause, then another step. Someone was up there. I tightened my grip on the key. "Hello?" I called, voice too thin. The footsteps stopped. Silence pressed down. Then, a soft knock. 3 taps. From directly above me. I didn't answer. I couldn't. The lamp on the table flickered a little, then steadied again. My eyes drifted to the shelves. Hundreds of boxes, hundreds of folders. If there was a Daniel Carter folder, there were others. I stepped closer to the nearest shelf and ran my flashlight over the labels. Most of them were names. Some were old-fashioned, some were common. Some were written in different handwriting, as if the shelves had been built over years by different hands. One label stopped me. Margaret Hollis, final notes. My aunt. I pulled the box out, hands shaking, and opened it. Inside were a stack of notebooks, bound with string, and on top a letter in an envelope. My name written on it. I tore it open. The paper smelled faintly of lavender and old ink. The letter was short. "Daniel, if you are reading this, it means you found the room. That means the house chose you, not because you are special, but because you are predictable. Predictable people are easier to teach." My throat tightened. You tricked yourself into thinking you're living your life. You have been practicing it. Leaving before you're asked to stay, moving before you are seen, keeping yourself temporary so nothing can hold you. My stomach turned because the words felt too accurate, too close to thoughts I never spoke.
The house doesn't want to hurt you, it wants to complete you. It has been collecting your exits for years, not to punish you, to show you. I swallowed. My flashlight beam drifted as my hand trembled. Do not run. If you run, it will follow. It always follows. It learns you faster when you run. My chest tightened. You will find the key. You will think it is for the door. It is not. The door is for you. I frowned, reading that line again. The house is not a place. It is a method. It records you until you cannot deny yourself anymore. I looked up from the letter, breathing shallowly. The air in the basement felt too still, as if the room was waiting for my reaction. I forced myself to keep reading. There is one rule you must understand. The house never speaks first. It waits until you have heard your own name in silence.